Hey guys, disappointed with the outcome. Obviously Thursday night, but very pleased with how we played in many areas. More victories aren't much fun, but I do think there's a lot to build on. Felt like we played at least the first half played our best football of the season, which we clearly need to build off of and find that football team consistently. We still turned the ball over too much. We stayed away from the big undisciplined penalty, but did still have a couple tough penalties that hurt us. But if we can get those things under control on a consistent basis, we're starting to show we can play physical ball. We ran the ball well at times. We defended in one-on-one areas. We elevated and played above the rim in a few areas. Just some things that we haven't been able to see the last few weeks that we need to put on the field on a weekly basis. So if we can capture that first half football team that played really well in all three phases, then we got a chance to be competitive down the stretch. We need it now more than we ever have. Conference play is really, really here in a way. Having lost to UNLV, we just don't have the luxury of letting games drop. I would like to think that we're starting to see a team that can play competitively in the Mountain West. I think it's wide open. You look across the board and everybody's struggling to find consistency. If we can be that team that can click and start doing that on a weekly basis, then who knows what this group's capable of. Air Force obviously presents tremendous issues for you with the triple, seeing it one time a year. And some days you stone it, and some days, like last year, they go up and down the field. So this week is going to tell us a lot about who we are and moving forward. But I thought Coop did a good job. He can't turn the ball over. There's a couple plays he'd love to have back, but he was poised. He gave us a chance to be competitive and control the offense most of the night. He's only going to get better as he moves forward, and hopefully he'll learn from a couple mistakes and just keep getting better each week. So with that, any questions you got, I'll be happy to answer. Hello, anybody there? There we go. Okay. All right.
Question about Coop.
Yeah.
A couple of the interceptions late in the game. Do you feel like those were more of just trying to push the ball downfield when you're down double digits late, as opposed to potentially poor decision making?
Coop had, am I right, 3 turnovers on the night? Fumble and 2 picks, right? Fumble was bad ball security. Can't happen. Ball was loose. The first interception, ball was tipped. Nothing he could do about it. He's trying to put the ball in the right place. The interception late in the game, I think, is one you're asking about. Honestly, it's a bad decision on his part. Now, you get into a 2-minute type scenario, drop 8, the windows are going to be smaller. You got to be very deliberate about what you're doing. Wideouts need to really work with him and try to find open grass, and then he's got to be willing to check the ball down there. There were 2 other available places to go with the ball that would have been better decisions than the one he took. He's going to get better. He just struggled to move through his progression at the pace he needed to in that environment. That's something I think more reps are going to help him. He'll get better at it. He should have checked the ball down. It's one he'd like to have back.
Cal Lewis from the radio station. Can I ask you about Alfred Edwards and Robert Briggs for this week?
Yeah, Briggs is fine. He got back in. He just got dinged up for a little bit. He and Calvin both missed a little bit of time during that game. Both were able to get back. And I would expect both running backs at full speed. Alfred worked out this morning in a limited capacity with the trainers. He looks like he will be ready to go this week. Now, it is going to depend on him having a good week of work. But all indications are we should have him back on the field.
How did you feel the 2 tackles when moving south over to the other side? How did you think that went in the game against BYU?
Well, in the sense that we didn't spend a lot of time dropping back, but we weren't getting lit up with the pass rush. We ran the ball effectively. Now we made some mistakes. There was a crucial 3rd and 1 that Cole got beat on the right side that he'd love to have that play back. It ended up forcing us into a field goal situation. There were a couple other issues, but they were big and physical. And I thought for the most part, most of the night, both handled themselves really, really well.
Jacob Nielsen, KSL.com. Is it fair to say, like, you look on paper and this team is 1-4, but with the majority of conference remaining and just the way the conference is looked at, is it fair to say that maybe the belief that your guys' team has is maybe a little bit, the mentality is just a little bit different than maybe a traditional team that starts the season 1-4?
Yeah, I don't. I mean, we're 1-4 record wise, but I don't feel like the personality of the team right now or the morale of the team is that that we're better than that. We're starting to trend in the right way. We're starting to look better week by week. Guys are growing up one rep at a time. Honestly, one good play and one mistake at a time. We earn those losses. I mean, it's our fault, but this team could very easily have a different record. And really, all that matters is what's in front of us anyway. At this point, they've not given up on the process of getting better and working hard and taking accountability for mistakes. That showed, I think, Thursday night. If we weren't willing to continue to work, we wouldn't be getting better. I'm encouraging them to do the same thing. And this week is the most important game of the season. So, I think there's a thought process is we are better than the record indicates. We have better football still ahead of us, and this conference is wide open. We have just as much right to play for a conference title at the end of the season as anybody else if we can find the consistency that we show at times. We have to find it really daily in every quarter and in every game. And that is a challenge. I'm not making light of that at all. That is something we've not found yet. But when we show it and all three phases show up like they did in the first half, we're as good as anybody we're going to play. And so that's what we're trying desperately to cling to and build on. And I do think that is the sense of the thought process in the locker room, not just from me and the coaching staff, but I think our kids see that and are fighting to get to be that team, if that makes sense.
Anderson, Jason Turner from the Herald Journal. Last year's game against Air Force was a shootout. I mean, it was almost 1,300 total yards. But how much do you feel you learned just from going up against them last year that'll maybe help you scheme against their triple option a little bit better?
Well, Mike Thiessen's honestly a really close friend of mine. Has been running that offense for a long, long time. Here's what I've found, and I've played against triple option teams most of my career. You find out very quickly in the game if your plan is going to work or not. And there's games that it's 14-13, it's 13-10. There's games it's 62-58, and it's 45-4. I've been in both of those. And typically defensively you put together a plan, you go in, and if you execute it well and you can really keep it to a low scoring game, then man, you're excited. There are those days, and last year was one of them, where our plan just wasn't very effective, where it was personnel or plan or all the above. They just kind of had our number, and luckily we were able to outscore them. I've been in them in every way possible. What's this week going to look like? I have no idea, and we won't find out till midway in the first quarter what our plan looks like. Can we execute it? Can our guys keep the play action pass in front of them? Can we handle, dive quarterback pitch effectively and the counters that come off of it? Man, it is a huge challenge, and games, you don't tend to see games kind of in between. You see either really low scoring and a lot of punts and a lot of stops, or it's the exact opposite. It's a shootout. You just don't see a lot of games in between with these guys and these styles of offenses, if that makes sense.
Coach Patrick Mayhorn with the Ag Ship. Obviously, there was quite a bit more quarterback running in the run game, but it seemed like there was more diversity in running back plays as well, more counter, more hit and pull, stuff like that. Did you see that, and is that related to Cooper, or is it more just part of the offense that you wanted to add more to?
I think variety in the run game was a lot of it had to do with what we needed to do to be effective against BYU's front. We handled the run game against them last year on some of the ways we were assigning our techniques, and we did learn a lot from year one against them, and we did a much better job of pushing our calls to the right bodies and getting people covered up better than we did a year ago. We did get out on the edges of the defense a little bit more, something that just self-analysis over the first month of the season, something we needed to utilize more. Quarterback run game clearly had to do with Coop's legs, but some of the other stuff we ran is just a progression of what we're going to have to do offensively with our running game to be more effective, and what was beneficial to us against the way they played us and how they're built. So the answer is kind of all the above. If I can answer it that way, all of them were factors in how we kind of adjusted the scheme.
Ask about the special teams as well. I believe Max Alford was a captain last week. Jalen Royals looked like almost got home on a punt block.
Yeah.
Jones has been doing well returning punts. What has been your feeling on the special teams unit this season? A lot of the young guys kind of stepping up there.
Yeah, a lot of young guys playing. Max was a captain because he's showing up every week and giving us great effort in practice. We choose captains based off of just day-to-day work ethic, accountability, guys that really exemplify what being a great teammate means. It doesn't matter senior to freshman, anywhere in between. Doesn't have to do with stats. It has to do with what they look like on a daily basis. Do they exemplify what team and team first mean, and selfless, tough, and accountable? And so that's why Max was chosen, and he's been that guy since day one and making an impact on special teams. Going to be I think a phenomenal linebacker for us in the future as he starts to play at that position. You're right. Jalen had a chance to get there. We've blocked 2 this year and blocked 4 when you consider the 2 in the championship game. In recent history, we want people to know that if you have a flaw in your protection, we'll come after you. But also we're starting to return the ball better. Coop's getting more and more comfortable at getting downhill. That was a huge return at the time, and obviously created an opportunity to get some points. I think special teams has probably been our most consistent unit all season in terms of just week to week really showing up and getting better. We still got some mistakes. We let a kick return get outside of us that didn't need to, and we've given up a couple explosive returns this season. But all in all, we're protecting well. We're covering fairly well. Punt return and punt block is starting to get going. We've had the touchdown on kickoff return. Really, all 4 units have shown up at some point. And it's going to be critical that they just continue to get better. Close games, conference opponents, especially as the season goes on, they're going to have to make plays. That's only, we won the championship last year because they made plays as well. So it's critical that we continue to improve, and I'm proud of them up to this point.
Ryan Priest, KSLSports.com. You've been using words like consistency, clinging to trying to find some positives in play and stuff like that. And I'm wondering if this is a team, especially with the shift from Logan Bonner to Coop at quarterback, is this a team that is still searching for its identity right now?
Probably a little bit. I do feel like that we had more to build off of in this particular game. I feel like leadership is starting to emerge in a daily manner. Guys have kind of taken ownership. I always feel like you got a chance to have a better team when it's coming from inside, not from the coaches. We can only push so much, and they'll only listen to so much. They tend to hear each other way more. We made less mistakes. We avoided the big penalties along the way. And when I say that, we still had some, but they were competitive penalties, not undisciplined penalties, if that makes sense. So I think they're starting to find maybe your rhythm to some degree, and that is our identity. That if we will pay attention to detail, just a little bit more, I don't know, purposely, that we got a chance to be a good football team. And now that Coop's the quarterback, they'll rally around him. Sometimes that galvanizes the team as well. They know we need to pick up the slack for him, make plays for him, make him comfortable, allow him to be better at his job. Maybe that's going to be a catalyst for us to getting better. But I think mainly we started to see some improvement on the field. When you see what you did in the meeting room, on the practice field, start to carry over to the field, that's when confidence is built. That's when you start playing better. And I'm hoping that that's where we're at moving forward.
You guys going to try to appeal the first half suspension for Gervin Hall? If not, what impact is that not having him for that first half?
Well, he's really, really good tackler, and you have to tackle well against the triple. He's played a lot of snaps, which is helpful. He's played against triple option teams in his career as well. Not having him, it'd be huge. I mean, somebody else got to step up, and we'll deal with that. We are reviewing it. We are trying to get it reviewed and would love for it to be overturned. We got to prepare either way. I think we'll know by the end of the day whether that's going to happen or not.
Coach Al again. Air Force playing against them, we always think about the rush team that they do, but their defense is ranked way up there in the country everywhere. They haven't let anybody score any more than 21 points. Can you talk about what they're doing on defense? It's obviously really good.
Yeah, they do a great job. Number one, they shorten the game and they don't play a ton of snaps. I mean, they're not going to play typically a ton of snaps. They're going to limit your possession. So when their defense does go out, they're not playing 80, 90 snaps a game. They're keeping it to 50 and 60, which is manageable. They're extremely sound, well taught, and they don't make a lot of mistakes. They don't hurt themselves. They make you earn it. Now, we were able to get them in space last year and have probably the most explosive game against them all year, but that's not something you typically see them do. It is hard to score. They're physical. They make you one-dimensional. They stop the run typically on a weekly basis. They are so physical against the run. They force you to put the ball in space, and then I think they rally and defend it well. But I think their formula is shorten the game, play fewer snaps, be more physical than the opponent, and don't make a lot of mistakes. And that tends to be a really good defensive team.
Last week, they had their best passing game. Was that because Navy knows how to defend the run better and they had to throw more, or what?
Well, it doesn't hurt that Navy's pretty good at playing the triple and defending the triple. Their quarterback can throw the ball and throw it very effectively. And you tend to be downhill and occupied with quarterback dive and pitch. And the next thing you know, they got a guy running right past you and he can make all the throws. So the discipline to be able to come off the triple and play the action and the drop back pass off of it is critical to keeping the score down. You can stop, dive quarterback pitch all you want to, but if you give up the post route or the seam wheel or the four verts off of it and it ends up in the end zone, then they're going to light you up on the scoreboard. So Navy did a great job, but I think it's just what they do every single day. That game always tends to be a very low scoring, very defensive battle because they just know each other so well. And they see it every day. We see it 4 days a week, and get ready to play a game on Saturday. That's a lot tougher to be disciplined in those environments.
Brian Phillips again. I noticed you used the tight end a little bit in the run game, lining him up off the right or left tackle and almost like a lead blocker when you're running outside. And also you had the 37-yard explosive to Brock Lane that also unfortunately got called back. Is using the tight end a little more, was that by design or is it just as play dictates?
Well, run game there, they're involved heavily in the run game regardless, and we're trying to find ways to get them free in the throw game as well. A couple other opportunities that didn't necessarily go to them. They could have been targeted. Yeah, Brock ran right by the safety. Unfortunately, he missed the rest of the game with a hamstring issue, and he is questionable as to whether or not he'll be back. I'm hoping he recovers quickly, but if you notice, he didn't go back out the rest of the game. He tweaked a hamstring on that particular play. So they're always a huge part of what we do in the run game, whether it be on the edge or when they pull on counter or insert on zone. And, we always looking for ways to find matchups that benefit us with those guys. So I'd like to get them involved more. Hopefully that's something that we can do. Anything else, folks? I said this the other day. I'm going to say it again. Aggie Nation, we need you more than ever. There's never been a more important game, and these guys are getting better, but they need you. So if you don't have anything to do Saturday, or if you do, cancel it and come on out. Homecoming, need it crazy, need it loud, man. Help build these guys up. Hopefully our best team plays Saturday when we need it most. Thanks, guys.
Al Lewis from KBNU and Logan, just get right to it about playing against Air Force and what it's like in the trenches against their kind of offense. I know they block different and make it different inside. Can you talk about that?
Oh yeah, playing Air Force is much different from playing anybody else. The type of offense they run, no one else runs that type of offense, and As far as the war in the trenches, it's going to be a war. It's very nasty. It's very physical, but you just got to bring it and compete with them because Air Force is always a physical team to play, especially their O line.
So the first play they'll run, or the play they want to run, is the fullback dive right at you. Can you talk a little bit about how you have to defend that?
Yeah, you just gotta play gap sound and out physical them up front. That's the only way that you can be successful against a triple option team, and that's what we intend to do.
Jason Turner from the Herald Journal. You guys have gained some momentum in rush defense the last couple of weeks. BYU had some success in the second half, but I think it was because they were throwing the ball really well, and that honestly opened up the run. But how much momentum do you feel that you've gained with your rush defense, and how critical is that going into the Air Force game?
It's very critical. Like I said a few weeks ago, it's all about getting better as the weeks go on, and I can definitely see that that's what our defense is doing as coaches and players. Our coaches have really set us up with a really good game plan coming into this week, and it's all about us practicing hard and being able to execute when the game time comes.
Brian Priest, KSLSports.com. Coach Anderson talked a lot about leadership and leadership kind of stepping up and helping find consistency day to day, play to play. And so I was wondering, from your perspective as a player, how has the leadership developed on the team this year, and how do you compare that to how things developed last season?
A lot of our leaders have stepped up, especially over the past few weeks. It's just all about keeping our brothers accountable and keeping ourselves accountable too. So that's what we've been really harping on, and that's what we've been doing a lot. We had a lot of great leaders last year that we've lost, such as, we have DT, Nick Henninger on the defensive side. Losing great leaders like that, it happens every year with programs, but it's our job as the next people up to step up and fulfill those roles. And though it may be hard, we just got to do it. We got to grow up. We got to mature and help lead our team to success.
Brian Phillips, Big Blue USU Aggie News. Unfortunately, you guys at the defensive tackle spots have been banged up a little bit. You missed a game. Cassie's had a little bit of trouble. What young guys are you feeling like they're really stepping up and starting to fill the void of some of the guys that have been lost for the year, like Senny and so on?
Losing Senny and Phil for the season has been really hard, but Bo Miley and Tavian Coleman have done an excellent job stepping up. There was no hesitation for them, no fear. They just stepped up when their name was called, and they've been doing a great job. I know that as the weeks go on and as practices keep going, that they're going to get better and better. And I trust them 100% to play for us and play alongside us.
Jacob Nielsen, KSL.com. What are your thoughts of just the conference right now? And it seems like even though y'all haven't had the start to the season you wanted, just the nature of things, the conference is still there for the taking.
Yes, exactly. The conference is still there for the taking. We haven't played any division games yet, and this is a big week for us. It's very important for us to come in and, do well this game. So, yeah, like whatever happened in the past and whatever our record may be right now, it matters, but not as much as the rest of the season matters. The rest of the games looking on is all conference games, and these are the ones that really count. So we're taking that to heart, and we're working hard to have a successful season leading up.
I wanted to follow up real quick on my question about the team's leadership. For you personally, what is your leadership style? How do you approach some of the younger guys on the team? Is it more as a vocal leader? Is it, keep your head down, do your work? Is it some other style? What do you do to get a response from guys?
So personally, leading up to this, I felt like it was okay for me just to, like you said, keep your head down and work, lead by example. But I feel like that doesn't work as much. So I've kind of broken out of my shell a little bit more and got out of my comfort zone and try to be more of a vocal leader, you know? And it helps my teammates, but it also helps myself as well. So yeah, that's what I've been doing a lot more is being more of a vocal leader, you know, helping out the young guys and keeping people accountable as well as telling people to make sure they keep me accountable as well.
Al Lewis again. Can you just talk about your recruiting process to come to Utah State, how this has worked out, what your career's been like so far coming here, and why you came here and all that?
So my recruiting process, dang, it's been a while. I've been here forever. I'm an old timer to this program already, but dang. So yeah, 2018, Coach Frank Maile, he recruited me, and you know, when I came on my visit here, just how I felt as like meeting the players, meeting the coaches, and just the atmosphere here at Logan, I loved it. So I decided to commit right after my visit, and yeah, it's been a great experience since then. I love Logan, I love Aggie Nation, and I'm just so glad to be an Aggie for the rest of my life.
So then you've been through really free coaching.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
In some ways.
Yes, sir.
Can you talk a little bit about that?
Oh, so you know, it's been a good experience. It's been kind of crazy, you know, seeing 3 different head coaches, 3 different staffs, different strength coaches, but it's good to be able to learn their different styles, you know. So it's been a great experience. And one thing that I know is it only works is if like everybody's locked in or locked into their style of coaching, and that's what I've seen our team do over the years, and that's why we've been pretty successful. Anything else?
Got one more for you. What's kind of just the general consensus the team has after watching film of the BYU game over the weekend? Just what's the biggest takeaway from the team?
You know, there's a lot of great things that we did that game, and you know, we're just getting better every week. And I feel like as long as we keep improving and keep getting better as the weeks go on, that we can play with anybody. And yeah, we're real close, and we'll be there. Thank you.
Brian Priest from KSLSports.com. Great game against BYU on Thursday. Personally, for you, a couple of touchdowns, 10 grabs, 96 yards. And I was just wondering if through spring ball and stuff, having Cooper taking more of the snaps with Logan being out, did that allow you to maybe build a little bit stronger rapport with Cooper? And was that some of the reasoning for the breakout on Thursday?
I mean, it kind of played a part. I feel like even though Logan wasn't able to practice, we were still building chemistry in terms of talking about, oh, on this route, like I might want you in this spot, or I'm gonna throw you open to this spot. So we were constantly talking, and I live with him too, so the chemistry there is always being built. So I think when we came in, like first game of the UConn game, the chemistry was there without any question. Just different situations. I think we were put in different situations, and obviously me and Cooper kind of. Me knowing where he's going to throw it and stuff like that, obviously being through spring, that helped a little bit in the game. But I think just 2 different situations. And I was just glad that I was able to get those opportunities when the ball came my way.
Hey, Brian, Jacob Nielsen, KSL.com. Do you feel like the team kind of had to rally a little bit more around Cooper, knowing, hey, like Logan's out, new guy coming in? Did that kind of give you guys maybe a little bit more energy and momentum? Like, hey, we got to step up.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely did. But all in all, Cooper's a great player and a great leader. You guys saw what he did when he came in the bowl game. Not even hadn't really played last season and came in and first play of the game, threw the touchdown. So we knew that he was going to come in and he was going to be amped up and ready to go. We knew he was going to be confident and he was going to put us in the right positions to make plays. And then at the end of the day, when the ball came our way, us as receivers just had to make the plays. And then you saw in the first half, I think that was the best half of football we've played in the whole season. And then I know Coach Anderson referenced to it probably since last year. That was one of the best halves of football we've played as a team.
Brian, Jason Turner from the Herald Journal. I just think the wide receiver group in general has picked things up the last couple of weeks, had a pretty good game against UNLV. also against BYU. How much confidence do you feel you guys have gained collectively over the last couple of weeks?
I think we've gained a ton of confidence, and that really has just come from us. We had like a receiver meeting, just the receivers, and we really just talked about, we're going to be the force that kind of drives the offense. So all in all, we got to hold ourselves accountable, and then just hold the whole entire offense, and then that'll kind of bleed over into the team when we talk about holding people accountable. So I think, me, Justin McGriff in practice, we're always talking about because we're a high tempo offense. So every time we run a play, we're always yelling. Even if we're not in, we're yelling to guys, jog back, jog back. And then you saw that played a part against BYU. Like the first two series, we barely even felt like we were tired. And we could see that they were gassed and stuff like that. So just pushing the tempo, holding guys accountable. If we drop a pass in practice, that's automatically 10 push-ups, no ifs, ands, or buts. Even when we're just doing routes on air and stuff like that. So I think that next level of accountability has definitely played a part in our success as a receiver room.
Al, Luke, and you and Logan. You obviously saw the receiver group we had last year when you investigated Utah State. We're thinking about, hey, I can fit in there.
Yes, sir.
But has there been pressure to have to be a receiver to make up for what happened last year with our receiving group? Can you talk a little bit about that and the recruiting of coming here and stuff?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like there's a little bit of pressure. Obviously, those Brandon Bolin, DT, and then Derek Wright, all three of those guys had great stats and great careers. So obviously coming in, people expect high things, especially me coming in as a transfer and everything like that. But I think all in all, I know the type of player I am, and I think the work's going to take care of itself. So coming into games and going into, I guess when we started spring ball, I just know that if I work hard, everything else will take care of itself, like I said. And obviously, we want to put a good product on field because we believe that with Coach Seth leading us, he's a guy that really produces great receivers. So we kind of just want to go out, handle business each day at practice, and then we know when we come into games, the game should be easy because the way we practice is like super intense.
Talk then was looking at our situation a real key to bring you here from Maryland. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, no doubt. Immediately, I didn't really know the receiver stats when Coach Tuck first called me. Did a little bit of research and saw that the three of those guys had 10 touchdowns each. And I don't think we had a player on our team at Maryland that had 10 touchdowns. So that was like very kind of enticing to me coming here. I talked to some other coaches who knew Coach Tuck and some of the other guys on the staff, and they believed that they'd take care of me. And I knew that with Logan coming back and the passing attack still be the same, I knew I was going to have a lot of opportunities. So that was definitely a big factor in me committing here.
Brian, obviously this is your first year playing the Mountain West slate. I'm curious, what have you had a chance to see very many teams play besides the upcoming teams on your schedule, and just what's your thoughts of how the Mountain West has trended this year and where you guys kind of fit in amidst it all?
Yeah, I mean, each weekend I try to watch. I've been watching Wyoming a lot. I feel like they're on TV a good amount. I watched New Mexico UNLV this past weekend, so I try to watch as many games as I can. But I mean, it's kind of crazy right now. You got like Fresno State just lost to UConn. You got a bunch of teams who kind of found their momentum or hitting things early, and then we're still trying to find our stride. And I believe that it's coming for sure. We know we got a tough slate these next few weeks, so we just know that once we feel like if we can get that first win, I think the momentum will really start to build, and we'll be able to do some really good things.
Again, can I follow up on that? Coach said you'd have an extra day because of the BYU game to start looking at Air Force early. So looking at them,
Yeah,
they've really been solid in their secondary depth.
no doubt.
What do you see and how do they play secondary against wide receivers?
Yeah, I mean, we know they're going to be quick to the ball. They play great team defense. They're going to play hard. They're not going to make mistakes. So I think in terms of us as an offense and as receivers, we really got to be on our P's and Q's and just play hard each play when the ball comes our way. Make the play because we know we're not going to get a lot of those opportunities back, especially with the fact that they're running the ball a lot with the triple option. So each possession that we have really matters. And I think if we can make the most of each opportunity, this should be a good result.
Is there any greater intensity in the program, the locker room this week, knowing that, okay, this is a game against a division opponent that really could impact the rest of the season?
Definitely, because I know obviously UNLV was on the west side, so I mean it sucked losing to them, but this really matters now that we're playing like a team on our side of the conference. So I think coming into things, we saw we saw the half we put together with BYU, and like Highlight said, we feel like we can play with anybody in the country. So if we can play like that and just piece that together for a full entire game, I think that's probably the biggest driving factor and probably the biggest pressure that we feel as a team, just knowing that we played our best ball, but we played it for a half, and we want to see if we can get that going for a whole game.
Anything else for Brian?
Brian Phillips, Big Blue USU Aggie News. Would you like to see the middle of the field used more in the pass game?
I mean, an example like the BYU game, they were doing a lot of things in terms of like they were dropping 8, so it's really hard to kind of get to the middle, and they have a lot of guys dropping, and it's a lot of stuff to read. So I mean, we'll see what happens with each team because we know each team is probably going to play us a little differently. And then if the defense they play allows the middle to be hit, then I'm sure we'll take advantage of that for sure. So it's kind of like a week to week thing, I think, with that.
Anything else for Brian? Okay, that'll wrap it up for today. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, guys.